Good morning. My name is David Ahrens, and I am the CEO of National Brain Tumor Society. It is my privilege to welcome you to the third annual Glioblastoma, or GBM, Awareness Day. Thank you for joining us again this year for this nationwide event. Today, we shine a light on glioblastoma, the most aggressive, complex, treatment-resistant type of brain cancer. National Brain Tumor Society created this annual event in 2019 to support survivors and their loved ones, to remember and appreciate the lives of those who are no longer with us, and to honor luminaries including national leaders such as former Senators McCain, Kennedy, and Beau Biden. Through this day, we also seek to bring attention to and galvanize our country to work toward a cure and better quality of life for those who are living with this devastating disease. About 13,000 times a year, a doctor will walk into an exam room and tell a patient they've been diagnosed with glioblastoma. They may be told of the average number of months of survival and may or may not be told about important issues such as all current standard of care treatment options, clinical trials, and expanded access or palliative care resources from the time of diagnosis. We know a few things. First, that while every patient is unique and may respond to treatment differently, we know that survival rates for glioblastoma continue to be totally unacceptable, and we need breakthroughs. Second, we know that patients and caregivers need the opportunity to learn about all potential treatment options, including clinical research studies. Third, we must improve quality of life, including palliative care for patients and caregivers at the same time as we seek a cure. As a community, we must go at glioblastoma full force. Glioblastoma, often called GBM, is among the toughest cancers on the planet, and it takes so much from those that are affected, patients, caregivers, families, and loved ones. It is a cancer that afflicts the body, but often afflicts the mind, stealing one's sense of self. In the face of a glioblastoma diagnosis, families rely on love, hope, and the promise that research is advancing toward a cure. Glioblastoma Awareness Day is our day to honor and make the public at large aware of this disease and build up the power to change the course of glioblastoma on the way toward the ultimate goal of curing it. This needs to be the decade that accomplishes this goal, to change the trajectory of glioblastoma. If we're going to change survival rates and enable people to live longer and better, we have to confront the toughest scientific and medical challenges. We are building upon a wealth of new information that you, as supporters of NBTS and other organizations, and as taxpayers, made possible over the past 10 years. We have developed new laboratory models and made improvements in surgery, added off-label use of products approved for other cancers, approved a new standard of care medical device in tumor-treating fields, and a drug targeting a mutation found in adult and pediatric brain tumors. We have launched new innovative clinical trials, such as GBM Agile. You, our donors, friends, patients, researchers, caregivers, all of you got us to this point, this tipping point. Together, we can make this the decade of transformation and get us closer to a cure and better quality of life for all. I know we can do it. The time is now for a concerted effort to defeat GBM. President Biden and the First Lady know all too well the devastation of a GBM diagnosis after losing their son, Beau. It will not take one single approach to defeat this disease. It will take many. It will not take one of us to defeat GBM. It will take all of us. Once again, this year, we are immensely grateful for the bipartisan, bicameral support of Congress of the 2021 Glioblastoma Awareness Day resolution. To have such a strong statement of unified support from within Congress sheds light on what is needed to advance research and improve healthcare. On behalf of the National Brain Tumor Society, thank you to our champions in Congress for their leadership and commitment to GBM and the brain tumor community. Senator Graham, who introduced and led the Glioblastoma Awareness Day resolution, was again joined by Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Senators Kristen Sinema and Mark Kelly of Arizona, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, and Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who all wanted to honor all those who have been affected by this disease. We thank you for your leadership. Our cause is also honored this year through a House of Representatives companion resolution led by Representatives Brian Mast of Florida, Jan Schakowsky of Illinois, Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin, and Jim Langevin of Rhode Island. Each of these representatives have a personal story to tell, a reason why they believe we must continue to raise awareness and resources. I would also like to express our sincere gratitude to our partners and the many National Brain Tumor Society supporters, volunteers, and advocates on this important day for the brain tumor community. Your support has today been made possible and will continue to help in our mission to conquer and cure glioblastoma. Thank you also to all the partner nonprofits that signed on to the 2021 Glioblastoma Awareness Day resolution. We appreciate your collaboration and advocacy. Today, we have prepared a nationwide virtual program from the front lines of GBM. You'll hear from the senators and representatives who made today possible, from GBM patients and caregivers, and from luminaries who are working tirelessly each day toward a cure and better quality of life. Action steps you can take today to raise awareness about GBM include sharing content online for the hashtag GBM Day will increase the reach and power of our advocacy, help engage the public, and raise resources needed to advance research. Go to braintumor.org for all these tools, and visit the Take Action section of our GBM Awareness Day site and watch our social media channels and action alerts all day. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to how we will all work together to conquer and cure brain tumors and glioblastoma once and for all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like for you to welcome Senator Lindsey Graham to the stage to talk with you a little bit about Glioblastoma Awareness Day. He's been a champion for a number of years to help us make certain that people are aware of this cause. And for me, it's very, very meaningful. I lost my husband, Jerry Zucker, to a glioblastoma 13 years ago. Today, we continue to work hard to do the research that's necessary to begin to find methods to help people that have this affliction, this cancer. It's a terrible cancer. And I want to thank Senator Lindsey Graham for remembering people like John McCain and Ted Kennedy, as well as Beau Biden, as we fight to find a cure for glioblastoma. So please join us in celebrating Glioblastoma Day. And Senator Graham, take it away.
Hello, everybody. This is Senator Lindsey Graham here. Senate Resolution 210, which I co-sponsored and helped author, has created July the 21st as GBM Awareness Day. This is a terrible illness. Beau Biden, John McCain, Ted Kennedy are victims of this illness, and anything and everything we can do to provide better treatment, early diagnosis, would be a godsend to the families that are going to receive this diagnosis in 2021 and beyond. So as we remember the fallen, my good friends who have succumbed to this illness, let's rededicate ourselves to making sure we're doing everything we can to stop GBM and provide a cure and treatment as soon as possible. God bless.
And Leo team.
Hi, we are Team Tabino Strong. In September of 2020, my husband, Tom, was diagnosed with a brain tumor, which we later found out was a glioblastoma. Our family has now been fighting for 6 months to keep the tumor away with radiation and chemo. We are participating in the National Brain Tumor Society's race on May 2nd because cancer does not deserve to win this fight. Every day, Tom shows up to fight for his family, and Team Tabino Strong consists of members from the East Coast to the West Coast and New England down to the South who are fighting right alongside of us. When Tom finished his brain surgery to remove the tumor, he looked at the doctor and asked, "Are we going to be okay?" And the doctor said, "We just need science to catch up." So here we are 6 months later, ready to flip the script and fight for our husband, father, brother, and friend. We are here so that the science catches up.
We are pleased to present the Glioblastoma Bill of Rights, read by GBM survivor Anastasia Golovashkina and created by our advocacy partner, Our Brain Bank.
Glioblastoma Bill of Rights, a new patient-centered call to action. Glioblastoma is an aggressive, deadly brain tumor that currently has no known cure. People living with GBM deserve quality care and the ability to make informed decisions. Now is the time for a GBM Bill of Rights. Developed by patients alongside our families and advocates, this is a roadmap to patient power and a brighter future. We, the patients, have the right to patient-centered care, an equal and collaborative patient-doctor relationship with personalized treatment that includes genomic and genetic testing and tumor analysis. The right to a second opinion offered at appropriate stages of diagnosis and treatment. The right to clarity of information, up-to-date, accurate information about all potential treatment options, transparency about treatment centers and their outcomes. The right to specialist care, access to a coordinated medical team of brain tumor specialist, neurosurgeon, neuro-oncologist, radiation oncologist, and others. The right to access trials and experimental treatments, up-to-date, accurate information about new drugs, treatments, and clinical trials, including international options. The right to psychological support, comprehensive psychological help for us and the people who care for people with GBM. The right to money-blind treatment, the best treatment, regardless of the person's financial situation. The right to fast-track treatments, fast-tracked MRI results, treatments, and ER visits. The right to patient-owned data, ownership of and access to our health data, and the ability to transport and donate our data and tissue to research. The right to the best end-of-life care, access to pain management, palliative care, and hospice. And the right to brain donation, information provided to us and our families about no-cost brain donation for scientific research.
Every day, especially on GBM Awareness Day, NovoCure is proud to raise awareness of brain tumors like glioblastoma and those impacted by brain cancer. At NovoCure, together with our patients, we strive to extend survival in some of the most aggressive forms of cancer by supporting patients on our approved therapy called Tumor Treating Fields and advancing our clinical trial efforts. We are grateful for our long-standing partnership with NBTS and thank NBTS for bringing together organizations and individuals across the United States to help support the brain cancer community.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I represent the 9th Congressional District of Illinois. Thousands of people get diagnosed with glioblastoma every year. It is one of the most complex and deadly cancers. And that is why, along with Brian Mast, a Republican, we introduced a bipartisan resolution, House Resolution 391, to designate July 21st as Glioblastoma Awareness Day. I had no idea that actually 10,000 people a year die of glioblastoma. But I have a personal connection because one of the dearest friends of my family right now has glioblastoma. He has lived for over a year now and continues to fight back. But we can all fight back by helping to have more research done. And that is what we really need, advocacy and research. And so I am proud to be in this fight with you and proud that we have a day now that we want to designate as honoring the people who have and the people who will not have, because we are doing something about glioblastoma. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm a brain cancer survivor. No one ever expects a healthy, active 21-year-old to be diagnosed with a brain tumor. I was just finishing up my junior year of college, taking 21 credits, working part-time, and volunteering at a local elementary school. I was a busy student. It was normal for me to have headaches multiple times a week. I never thought much of it until I had an unexplained seizure one morning while I was alone in my apartment. I went to the ER where they misdiagnosed me with dehydration without ever running a single scan. A month later, while I was home from college, I went for an MRI, which instantly identified a lemon-sized tumor in my brain. Within a few hours, I was at our local hospital and surgery was being discussed. I was extremely young, so no one expected me to have a cancerous tumor. Therefore, when I received my diagnosis of a grade 3 anaplastic astrocytoma, I was in shock. The only question in my mind was, am I going to die? We quickly learned that the initial surgery was not going to be enough. My family and I consulted with many surgeons and experts in the field about what my options were for the future. We realized that an aggressive tumor should be met with aggressive treatment. I enrolled in my first clinical trial, a more invasive surgery with a new oncolytic virus to be activated with radiation. The surgery left me temporarily paralyzed on my left side. I had to manage chemotherapy, radiation, hours of physical and cognitive therapy every day for 8 weeks. I was aiming to return to college for my senior year. My therapists and doctors told me this would not be a good idea to go back in August. They thought I would be too frustrated with how limited my life was. But this was my goal and my motivating factor. I wanted to get back to my normal life, and knowing myself, I knew I could do it. While it has not been an easy 3 years, I have learned that the best way for me to deal with my diagnosis is to take an active role in my health, radically changing my diet to follow the newest research on low-carb, low-sugar diets and how they could prevent tumor regrowth, as well as taking advantage of clinical trials where potential benefits outweigh side effects. Yet gaining access to clinical trials is not always an easy feat. I was lucky enough to have parents who spend weeks on the phone with doctors and researchers, managing to get me into the latest trials. This highlights the clear need to establish an easier path to connect research to all the patients whose lives depend on it. Increasing awareness of this problem is a crucial first step. Thank you.
Well, hello, my name is Dwayne Mitchell, and I am the director of the Clinical and Translational Science Institute at the University of Florida and the co-director of the Wells Brain Tumor Center at UF Health. One of the most exciting developments we've seen recently in the treatment of difficult cancers is the use of the immune system, or what we call cancer immunotherapy, in order to eliminate invading tumor cells from the body using a person's own immune system. Cancer immunotherapy has really revolutionized how we think about treating advanced cancers. We now understand that the immune system can, in fact, recognize that a tumor cell is a foreign invader in the body, and if the immune system is appropriately activated, it can be very effective at eliminating tumor cells from the body, even those that have spread beyond the original origin or site of cancer initiation. This type of treatment has resulted in previously untreatable cancers like metastatic melanoma, advanced lung cancer, and many others that were thought to be incurable to now have very reasonable chances of survival for patients that are treated with cancer immunotherapy. This is also one of the most exciting fields for the development of new treatments for glioblastoma and high-grade gliomas in both children and adults. When we think about cancer immunotherapy, one has to envision that your immune system normally detects foreign infections that invade the body and eliminates them with pretty high precision. If we have pre-existing immunity, like in the case of vaccines, this can be effective in protecting an individual for their entire lifetime against very threatening infections. When cancer arises, however, the body receives mixed signals. On the one hand, the immune system is alerted that this is something foreign. But also these come from normal cells, and we have a lot of mechanisms to protect our own cells from being attacked by the immune system. So in many ways, cancer confuses the immune system into looking both like something foreign, but also like something from our own body that needs to be repaired. If you think of this rejection versus repair, cancer really continues to grow because the signals to repair or to grow that tissue and to feed that tissue tends to override the signals that this is something foreign and should be rejected. So the goal of cancer immunotherapy is to tip the balance in favor of rejection, for the body to recognize this is a foreign invader and to eliminate it. Right now, there are 4 major approaches to doing this. One is something called cancer vaccines. Unlike vaccines that we give before a person develops an infection to protect them against infection, cancer vaccines are what we call therapeutic vaccines. These are vaccines that are given to a person that has already developed cancer, but are designed to boost the immunologic response against the person's own tumor cells so that that rejection response can take over and eliminate the invading tumor cells. Another major approach is something called adoptive T-cell therapy. This is where we take the soldiers of the immune system, called killer T cells, out of the patient's own body and then grow them to very large numbers. Oftentimes, these T cells are also armed or made more effective at recognizing the patient's own cancer, either through genetic engineering, something that we call CAR T cell therapy, where the T cells are equipped to recognize the cancer cells more effectively, or through other activation strategies that make the T cells far more effective at seeking out and destroying the cancer. Once we've generated large numbers of these killer T cells, they are given back to the patient, either delivered directly to where the tumor is growing or delivered into their intravenously or into the veins so that they can circulate throughout the body, with the hopes that now these armed killer T cells will seek out the invading cancers and eliminate them. The third major strategy in combating cancers is using a class of drugs called immune checkpoint inhibitors. This new class of treatments has arrived from the recognition that in addition to the immune system having go signals that activate it, we also have a number of stop signals or breaks that slow the immune system down or prevent the immune system from attacking our own tissues. These immune checkpoints, as they are called, are very effective at keeping us from having harmful immune responses against our own body. However, when someone develops cancer like glioblastoma or high-grade gliomas, these stop signals get turned on or amplified so that they are really preventing the immune system or holding the immune system back from attacking the cancer. And so immune checkpoint inhibitors you can think of as drugs that take the brakes off the immune system. They now allow the recognition response or the rejection response to proceed, and they remove the brakes or take the red lights off so that the immune system can proceed much more effectively in attacking cancer. This class of drugs has been pretty revolutionary for the treatment of many advanced cancers and is being actively explored for use against glioblastoma. And the last approach that I'll talk about is using viruses to actually induce an immune response against cancer. So as I mentioned previously, our immune system is really good at recognizing foreign invaders, bacteria or viruses that are truly completely foreign. And what we've learned is you can engineer viruses to infect tumor cells, and when the immune response that is awakened by that virus proceeds, you can also generate a secondary strong immune response against the cancer. These oncolytic viruses, as they're called, have been used effectively in some metastatic cancers and are also being very actively explored for their use against glioblastoma and high-grade gliomas in children. One of the challenges we face in trying to make immune therapies effective for brain cancer is that the brain is obviously an exquisitely sensitive organ. We can't really tolerate very strong immune responses inside the brain because the skull limits the amount of space that inflammation and swelling and other things that can accompany a very strong immune response would normally have space to expand in other places in the body. Because of the sensitivity of the brain, we have to be very careful in trying to induce a strong immunologic response, but not a dangerous inflammatory response that would harm normal brain tissues. Also, the brain has a number of barriers that protect it from foreign substances and from foreign infections. This blood-brain barrier, as it's called, is very effective at keeping a lot of harmful substances that can get into the rest of the body from getting into the brain. However, this same barrier can limit the effectiveness of the immune response in the brain. And so our strategies have to overcome the blood-brain barrier and allow an effective immune response to be generated within the central nervous system. Despite these limitations, we are seeing significant promise in the advancement of immunotherapy for the treatment of brain tumors. One example of that is that we've learned that we can give immune therapies sometimes before surgery, something called neoadjuvant treatment, which can activate an immune response. And then when the surgeons go in to remove the brain tumor tissue, it looks like this opens up the ability for the immune response to respond even more effectively. This is one of the more encouraging findings that we've seen in adults with advanced glioblastoma and is actively being explored now in both children and patients with glioblastoma to see if delivering immunotherapy before surgery may be a more effective strategy for generating a sustained and effective immune response. We've also seen new targets and the use of genetic engineering identify targets within brain cancer that the immune system can effectively engage. And so as we've learned more about the targets that are present in glioblastoma that can generate an effective immune response, we can develop more precise and ideally more effective and safe therapies for going after these brain tumor targets. So for me, I'm very optimistic that in the next several years, we will see certainly an expanding number of approaches to attacking glioblastoma and high-grade gliomas in children. But more importantly, I think we're learning that there can be effective and safe immune responses generated in these patients. And sometimes these can lead to very durable, long-lived clinical and immunologic responses. And so seeing those successes translated into much larger patient populations, both adults and children, I think is the real promise of immunotherapy over the next coming years.
Hello, I'm Sean Hemingway, Chief Operating Officer at IMVEX. We're pleased to support the National Brain Tumor Society on July 21st for GBM Awareness Day, a day that shines a light on one of the most complex, deadly, and treatment-resistant types of brain cancer. The IMVEX team has witnessed firsthand the devastating effects of GBM on patients and their families, and are working day in and day out to bring them hope and treatment that improves survival and overall quality of life for people living with GBM. Thank you for joining the entire brain tumor community on this important day, and also honoring those who've been affected by GBM and supporting those working to develop treatments for the deadly tumor. With awareness and innovation, our community can continue to fight back against GBM.
Hey everybody, I'm Congressman Brian Mast. Now, as you all know, glioblastoma is an incredibly aggressive form of brain tumor that over 13,000 Americans are diagnosed with each and every year. That's 13,000 families that are impacted by this terrible disease. It is a struggle that I witnessed firsthand, seeing my friend Mark Cunningham fight this disease, his regression, how it affected his family, and it was painful to watch. This is a disease that has caused a lot of pain in our community because specifically in our community, there have been a number that have been affected by glioblastoma, which is why I'm so proud to co-sponsor the resolution to designate July 21 as Glioblastoma Day of Awareness. This resolution is about giving hope to every person in our community and across the country who is battling this disease and honoring the lives of those that we've tragically lost at its hands. I'm committed to building on the progress we've made to learn more about this disease and develop new treatments, and I'm confident that we can find a cure once and for all. In that, I wish you all the best, and I'll tell you all take care.
Hello, my name is Rachel Kittleson, and I'm the Director of Community Relations here at the National Brain Tumor Society. The Brain Tumor Support Conversations are an open, nationwide, free peer-to-peer support group that provides a virtual platform for participants to share perspectives, mutual support, and insight. It is a welcoming space for patients, current and former caregivers, and loved ones to discuss the complex and challenging emotions that accompany every aspect of the brain tumor experience. Adam Hayden and Lisa O'Leary are the volunteer facilitators and co-founders of Brain Tumor Support Conversations. Adam is a 5-year GBM survivor, and Lisa is a former care partner to her husband, Patrick, who passed away from GBM. Welcome to you both.
Rachel, thanks so
Great
much.
to be here.
Thank you.
Adam, we have a question for you, and that is, what would you say to a patient who is considering joining brain tumor support conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. What a great question. When I think about what to say to a patient, I'm reminded of this kind of truism in the brain tumor community, which is there is no such thing as a good brain tumor. So any tumor type, if you have a high-grade brain malignancy, a low-grade, a non-malignant tumor, any grade, any stage of treatment, we create an inclusive environment where you are welcome to share your perspective or simply come and just listen to the experience of others.
Thank you for that. Lisa, we also have a question for you. Why is it important to have a peer-led space for the community to come together?
For me, it really comes down to one word, and that's identification. In a peer-to-peer setting, you're talking to people who aren't speaking about experiences anecdotally or theoretically. You're talking to other people who are actually living it. And as much as well-intentioned loved ones may try to relate to what it's like to go through an experience with a brain tumor, either as a patient or a care partner, it's very hard for anybody else to understand who hasn't been through it. And also, the peer support lends itself to being a safe space for people to ask questions, feel perhaps less judged or concerned about asking questions than they might in a clinical setting. And so peer conversations lend themselves to helping us feel heard.
Those are really great points, especially from both you and Adam. We are so grateful always for the every month support that you give to our community. We are grateful to you for coming to us today and providing some of this insight into the brain tumor support conversations for our community. And we want you to know, if you are listening today, that brain tumor support conversations are held the third Sunday of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our next meeting will be August 15th, and to register, you can visit braintumor.org. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Lim, and I'm the professor and chair of neurosurgery here at Stanford. Today, I'd like to talk to you about immunotherapy for glioblastoma. Immunotherapy has been an incredibly exciting advance for patients with cancer. I think that over the past 10 years, we've all seen patients receiving immunotherapy and getting almost complete responses where their tumors have melted away. And as a result, we've seen just an incredible number of FDA approvals for different cancers with these immunotherapies. And what I mean by immunotherapy is particularly these things called checkpoint inhibitors. You might have heard of them as anti-PD-1 or anti-CTLA-4. Over the past 10 to 15 years, what we've learned from treating patients with immunotherapies is that, one, not all cancers respond to immunotherapy. While many do, some cancers don't. Second is that we learned that even the patients or even the cancers that do respond to immunotherapy, only about 20 to 30% of those patients respond to immunotherapy. And of that 20 to 30%, about a quarter of those patients actually have recurrence of their tumors. So it's not a durable and forever cure. The third point that we learned is that these drugs can cause severe side effects in patients. The toxicities can be life-threatening because they can unleash an autoimmune response. So even though immunotherapy is very exciting, you can see that we still have a lot of room for improvement in terms of improving the number of cancers that can be treated, making sure that we improve the response rates and the durability, and improving the side effect profile. Now, where we work with glioblastoma, initially, we were quite hopeful for glioblastomas with these checkpoint inhibitors. There was preclinical data to suggest that it could work, and as a result, large phase 3 clinical trials were launched. However, this past year, the readouts came back, and the results were negative. We were not observing the same response rates or improvement in overall survival for patients with glioblastoma. However, if you looked a little bit more closely at some of the data, we did see some patients having dramatic responses. So immunotherapy could potentially help and fight off glioblastoma, or we believe it can. It's just that these checkpoint inhibitors with anti-PD-1 and anti-CTLA-4 alone may not be the way to go. So what are our next steps? Over the past 10 to 15 years, we've also done a lot of studies, and we've been able to study these tumors in quite detail in terms of how they interact with the immune system. And one of the things that we've come to appreciate is the fact that they're very heterogeneous tumors. And what do I mean by heterogeneous? If you were to take two tumors from two individuals and compare them, they could look very different in terms of their architecture, in terms of the cells that are making up the tumor, the genetics of these cancers, and even the ways they interact with the immune system. And the heterogeneity even occurs within the tumors themselves. If you look at two different regions, they could look, again, very different. So it suggests that just going with one therapy alone may not be enough to overcome this heterogeneity. The second is that the way that this glioblastoma interacts with the immune system is different than the way it interacts, different than a way, for example, a melanoma would interact with the immune system. As we've done, as we dissected these tumors, there are other checkpoint molecules, for example, and these seem to be expressed in gliomas and glioblastomas, again, that are different than melanoma. In addition, what we call the players, or the immune cells that are interacting with the glioma, seem to be different than other cancers like lung cancer or melanoma. If, for example, you look at glioblastomas, they're very enriched in cells called myeloid cells. And again, these are a different group of immune cells that have the potential to kill, but again, these are different cells to target, and a lot of research and therapies are being directed against these myeloid cells. The third is that we're also learning a lot more about these gliomas and glioblastomas as we have made tremendous advances with our research tools. We're starting to identify the antigens that are uniquely expressed on gliomas and glioblastomas. And when I mean antigens, they're proteins that are that are expressed on cancer cells that are unique from normal cells in our body. And as you identify these proteins or antigens, then you can come up with vaccines and for example, CAR T cells against them. And so as we've come to appreciate some of these hurdles, we're rethinking the way we approach treating patients with immunotherapy. It's a more personalized approach, and perhaps we'll use combination approaches to treating patients with gliomas and glioblastomas. And some of the different tools that we hope to use in these combination approaches are things such as radiation or focused radiation or chemotherapy. But we also have different immune tools. For example, as we identify unique antigens, we can create genetically modified T cells that specifically seek out and target and kill cells that are expressing those unique antigens. They're called CAR T cells. And as an example, here at Stanford, Dr. Mackel and Dr. Monge have a CAR T cell approach against for tumors with brainstem gliomas. And the other thing is vaccines. Now that we know that antigens that are uniquely expressed, or we're identifying antigens that are uniquely expressed in gliomas, we can create vaccines that have those unique peptides, so they're much more personalized for our patients. And to be able to do this, you need to have a multidisciplinary team. And I feel very fortunate to be able to work with, great neuro-oncologists, radiation oncologists, neuropathologists, and neuroradiologists. And as a result, we're able to not only do to dissect a tumor to figure out what is uniquely expressed, or the antigens, or what checkpoint molecules are on these tumors, to then create a personalized approach or even doing these matchmaking approaches. But we also, having a team that's experienced with immunotherapy allows us to be able to monitor for things such as toxicities and side effects, some of these immune side effects. In addition, I know that I and our team feel it's an incredible honor to take care of, our patients with gliomas and glioblastomas. And we really want to make sure that we're, balancing quality of life throughout all of this as patients go through these trials. So, even though the checkpoint trials have come out negative, I'm still very optimistic for the future. And I think these new approaches are very exciting, and I remain very hopeful.
I'm Saeed Zarabian. I'm president and CEO of Kintara Therapeutics and a 20-year life sciences veteran. Over the past 5 years, I've become intimately aware of the poor outcomes for GBM patients, given the currently approved first-line therapy was approved 21 years ago and provides limited survival benefits. I want to thank National Brain Tumor Society for hosting the National GBM Awareness Day and for all their contributions in our collective fight to come up with better treatment options for all GBM patients that provide better survival outcomes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Colin Gertner, and I'm the president and co-founder of Stash Strong, a 501c3 organized to raise funds and awareness for brain cancer research. My brother and I started this organization after his unfortunate diagnosis of glioblastoma in September of 2017. Unfortunately, Glioblastoma Day is 22 months to the day that he passed, and we miss him every day. But Stash Strong has continued to fight for all those going through this disease, just as he did. We've raised over $1.25 million to date, and we're proud to continue to partner with the National Brain Tumor Society on different research initiatives. We partner with NBTS because they're like-minded individuals who are hand in hand with us in the fight against brain cancer. I think it's so important to have organizations across the country come together, knowledge share, and work towards the same goal that we all have, to make sure that another GJ Gertner, my brother, doesn't pass at the young age of 30, to ensure that another mother, sister, brother, cousin, father, you name it, doesn't go through glioblastoma in the same way that my family has watched it occur. Support any organization that you feel is the right fit for you on Glioblastoma Day. Spread the news of this important initiative to continue to raise vital funds and awareness for brain cancer, and specifically glioblastoma. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rob Murray, Chief Business Officer of GCAR, the Global Coalition for Adaptive Research. GCAR, the leader in adaptive trials, is the sponsor of GBM Agile, a global, seamless Phase 2/3 response adaptive platform trial for patients with newly diagnosed or recurrent GBM. GBM Agile allows for multiple therapies to enter and exit at any time for evaluation. We are currently evaluating 3 interventions in GBM Agile and have screened over 650 patients since its enrollment began in 2017. Over the last 6 months, we have seen extraordinary excitement for GBM Agile, as underscored by opening multiple regions and screening at an enrollment rate that is more than 4 times that of historical norms of traditional GBM trials. When I think of how we're able to achieve some of our successes, I think of 3 things that describe GBM Agile's impact. The first is innovation. One goal of GBM Agile is to identify effective therapies for GBM and matching them accurately to different patient subtypes in an accelerated manner. The second is efficient. By leveraging a shared or common control arm, and through the use of Bayesian statistics, GBM Agile helps evaluate therapies quicker and with cutting-edge modeling, which naturally means lower cost when compared to traditional randomized clinical trials. It also means faster timelines. Lastly, beneficial. Our biopharmaceutical partners, the physician community, and most importantly, patients benefit from the access to various new interventions, with varying mechanisms of actions providing patients with multiple treatment options. The GCAR team is thrilled to be in partnership with the National Brain Tumor Society, which has been a foundational supporter of GCAR and our efforts in GBM Agile. The partnership brings financial support, biopharma introductions, and leadership engagement that has been invaluable to GCAR and our efforts to expand GBM Agile in the hopes to reach more patients and evaluate new possible therapies. Thank you to the NBTS team, and we look forward to continued collaboration, innovation, and patient-focused drug development.
My story starts on a Monday in June 2019. I dropped ice cream on my kitchen floor and struggled for hours to clean it up. By Tuesday, it felt like things were constantly slipping out of my hands, and by Wednesday, typing had become difficult. I found myself making more and more mistakes in my emails and messages to colleagues and friends. By Thursday, the most simple tasks had grown unbearable. I woke up with an excruciating headache that felt like glass exploding in my head. For as much as I dreaded how much a doctor's visit would cost, I knew I couldn't live like this. I printed out my new insurance card. I just started my dream job as Elizabeth Warren's social media director. Got dressed and went to urgent care. Took the doctor one look at my crooked smile and klutzy coordination to suspect that I was having a stroke. She urged me to go immediately to the ER, and 2 hours later, a CT scan revealed what was wrong. The good news, I wasn't having a stroke. The bad news, I had a brain tumor the size of a billiard ball, a tumor that biopsy would soon confirm to be glioblastoma. Thinking about it now brings me right back to that moment of shock, horror, and disbelief. And to one of the first things the doctor said to me after sharing the scan's results: insurance is evil. I've since been reminded of that every single day. He wasn't kidding. Since that June, treating cancer has become a second full-time job for me, with paying for it often feeling like a third. All on top of the real job I must maintain to have health insurance and afford all of the co-pays, co-insurance, deductibles, and premiums that cover what it won't. I originally sought to keep the focus sharing my cancer story and experience on the personal lessons I've learned through it. And I can speak about that too. But the honest truth is that I can't separate my cancer story from my treating my cancer story and the paying to treat my cancer story. It's all one story. Sure, renewed perspective on what matters in life may make me more composed as I place those phone calls to insurance and hang out on hold with billing departments, as I cross-examine every single bill, every single line item for mistakes that could cost me. But it won't reduce the time and energy I have to spend doing these things in the first place. The endless errors I'm solely responsible for catching in my bills, the time I spend on hold trying to correct them, or the number of times I have to call back because an automated system hung up on me. Yet again, happens a lot. It won't make it easier for me to determine which providers and services are or aren't covered by which insurance plan, let alone to afford all these expenses in the first place. Certainly won't make it easier for me to figure out which jobs have the kind of health insurance I need without broadcasting to every single hiring manager that I'm a liability with brain cancer. Being calm is nice, but as many of you know all too well, it just won't matter much if I'm broke and dead. No amount of personal growth can truly address this without big structural change. And that's what I sincerely hope to see in my shortened lifespan. And that's the power of the incredible work of the National Brain Tumor Society and Glioblastoma Awareness Day.
Hello, my name is Jason Sheehan, and I'm a professor of neurosurgery, radiation oncology, and neuroscience at the University of Virginia. I'm here today to represent the American Association of Neurological Surgeons and the Congress of Neurological Surgeons Joint Section on Tumors. This organization represents hundreds of neurosurgeons throughout the United States and abroad who concentrate their efforts primarily on the management of patients with complex brain and spine tumors. The organization that I represent is pleased and honored to help to sponsor the third annual Glioblastoma Awareness Day, along with the National Brain Tumor Society. Our organization is pleased with the efforts that have been made so far, including the application of intraoperative MRI to maximize the extent of resection of patients with glioblastoma, to use 5-ALA, which is a fluorophore, to help to guide intraoperatively the surgeon and the surgical team to resect this malignant tumor, and then postoperatively to use techniques such as stereotactic radiosurgery to precisely guide radiation to a glioblastoma, and also the emerging approach of using MRI-guided focused ultrasound to open up the blood-brain barrier and deliver novel chemotherapeutic agents to glioblastoma targets and to help the patients who are suffering from these. While we have made a lot of progress over the last few years with our neurosurgical tools in the management of patients with glioblastoma, we have much progress that remains. I am always impressed by the courage and the tenacity of patients and their caregivers who are managing this tremendously difficult journey with their glioblastoma. We're honored and pleased to help you in your management of this complex condition and to provide care for you.
My name is Latresa Dolman, Ms. America International. My beloved husband, Pro Football Hall of Famer Chris Dolman, passed away from a glioblastoma. My husband is my entire world. He was the most amazing man I have ever met. So kind, caring, thoughtful, loving, intelligent, humorous. I can go on and on about the type of man that my husband was. He is the love of my life and my all and my everything. I miss him more than any words can ever express. While he was still fighting, my husband kept that beautiful smile on his handsome face. He remained positive and hopeful. We both did. After being a 2-year brain cancer survivor, my husband's fight ended. And now I fight for my husband, and I fight for our mission to find a cure. I want to help those by raising awareness and letting people know about the signs and warning symptoms for glioblastoma. And I also want to find a cure more than anything. And this is why I partner with and support the National Brain Tumor Society. The work that they do for the brain tumor community is unparalleled. They offer support for brain tumor patients and their caregivers. They fund life-saving brain cancer research. They are truly a community that cares, and they let people know that they are not on this journey alone. I thank the National Brain Tumor Society for all of the work that they are doing for the brain tumor community. I am in this fight with you. Keep up the great work, and let's find a cure.
Hello, my name is Ranjit Bindra. I'm a professor of radiation oncology and the scientific director of Yale's Brain Tumor Center. I treat adult and pediatric cancers as a radiation oncologist, and I also run a laboratory which is focused on DNA repair and cancer metabolism. In addition, I'm a biotech entrepreneur with a sincere interest in starting brain tumor-focused companies. I'm sending a message today on GBM Awareness Day that there's hope and change on the horizon. We finally have enough pieces of the puzzle to solve this disease. Now, I know some skeptics may say that every year we say this, but I truly believe things are changing. Why is that? We now understand the molecular biomarkers, we have CNS penetrant drugs, and we finally have companies that are interested in developing drugs for brain tumors, including GBM. So how are we leveraging all these pieces in my laboratory and amongst my collaborators? The Bindra Lab has been very very grateful to the National Brain Tumor Societies for supporting us over all of these years. Later this month, you'll hear some very exciting news. The NBTS is launching a consortium that is exclusively focused on targeting the DNA damage response in GBM. This initiative is called the TDG, which stands for Targeting DNA Damage Repair in Glioma. It brings together 7 PIs from academic institutions across the country with non-overlapping expertise, but a common mission to develop better drugs for brain tumors, including GBM. Our goal is to rapidly translate some of the best preclinical science into the clinic for brain tumors. My heart goes out to patients living with this terrible disease. We all know someone who's been affected by this. I wish to send support to your family and to your friends. Please know that we are working on this, and we thank everyone, especially the National Brain Tumor Society, for their support. Please have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Humphrey, Chief Medical Officer of Black Diamond Therapeutics. At Black Diamond, we are committed to the discovery and development of targeted therapies for the treatment of genetically defined cancers, including glioblastoma. I personally lost a beloved member of my family to glioblastoma and am eager to help fight this dreaded disease. To this end, given the incredibly urgent need for new therapies in GBM, we are advancing our BDTX 1535 program to explore the potential of a precision oncology approach for the treatment of this disease. We are honored to partner with the National Brain Tumor Society and to support their leadership and commitment to the GBM community. Today, on GBM Awareness Day, we all have the opportunity to take action to help raise awareness and fund the research essential to improving the lives of those impacted by GBM. Thank you to the patients, caregivers, researchers, and partners for taking the time to share their stories and perspectives with all of us here today.
Thank you to the NBTS for inviting me to share our family's story for GBM Awareness Day this month. It's bittersweet, but it means so much to me to be here today to talk about my sister Maureen's legacy and our relationship with the NBTS. My name is Catherine Heaton, and this is my sister Maureen, who died in 2019 from GBM complications. As a young, vibrant, loving person, she was only 42 and diagnosed 20 months earlier after having a seizure at the gym. What she went through was indescribable, and I can only imagine what you all as fellow caregivers and family members are enduring as well. My family now tries very hard to keep my sister's name alive and has since set up a nonprofit organization in her honor to continue her zest for life and love for others. This foundation finds people in need and helps them, anywhere from adopting children during the holiday season to make sure that they have presents under the tree, to giving families food at Thanksgiving, or giving women entering homeless shelters a boost of confidence or financial support upon their arrival. We've also paid for tutoring for children recently rescued from human trafficking. We enjoy helping these organizations and many more, and also have recognized very inspiring local students at Maureen's 2 former schools with scholarships and awards in her name. Last but not least, we are committed to helping NBTS in whatever way we can, either by giving donations or by going gray in May, or participating in the fall walk, and most recently this week, actually, we are donating in honor of a local hero who just lost his battle with GBM, Brett Birkinshaw. This year, I also participated in the Head to the Hill event, thanks to NBTS, where I was able to talk to 3 members of the Massachusetts Congress on behalf of all of us and the vast needs of the brain tumor community. I think as a team, we made a huge impact, and I'm so proud of the work that we all did that day. In closing, you can find more about us at www.maureenheatonfoundation.org or find us on social media at Maureen Heaton Foundation. We all have to continue coming together in our one passion of finding a cure for this horrific disease. Thank you, NBTS, for helping make this happen.
Despite all the advancements, the outcomes for glioblastoma still remain dismal. On an average, our patients survive 15 to 18 months. An important fact to remember is when a patient recurs or has a recurrence of a glioblastoma, there is no therapy that increases survival by even a single day. Hence, we have a lot of work at our hand. One of the ways where we have made a lot of advancement in oncology is with the use of precision oncology or precision medicine-based trials. What that means is we study the genetic alterations in someone's cancer that is driving their cancer, and then pick the best therapies to go after those genetic alterations or changes which are driving the cancer. In neuro-oncology, or just like any other cancer, this can be done in two ways. One is the top-down approach, or one is the bottoms-up approach. And what do we mean by that? In the top-down approach, you take 1,000 patients with glioblastoma, understand the 3 or 4 genetic pathways that may be driving the cancers, and then you group those patients into particular pathway-driven based therapies. A great example of that is INSIGHT trial that is being led out of Dana-Farber. The bottoms-up approach, on the other hand, is it treats, say, another 100 patients or so with glioblastoma, and we find out that there are particular few patients who are responding to a particular therapy. What then we do is we study the genetic changes of those patients, looking at their DNA or RNA, and find out why some patients respond to a particular therapy where others do not. An example of that was a trial that we led out of the Adult Brain Tumor Consortium, which was a study focusing on methoxamine or TRC102. We found out was that in 20 odd patients we treated with that drug, 2 patients had a great outcome. And what we identified was a genetic signature, which helped us identify who are the patients who are likely to respond to that particular therapy. And we are working through the cooperative group mechanism right now to launch a trial validating that signature in prospective manner. This is extremely important for a very heterogeneous tumor like glioblastoma. So I think if we look at precision-based oncology trials in neuro-oncology, we will be able to help our patients. A great example of that is a couple of tumor-agnostic approvals that we've had in cancer. A prime example of that is NTRK gene fusion. There are 2 therapies which are FDA approved now for those tumors. One is called larotrectinib, and the other one is called entrectinib. So even patients with gliomas or glioblastoma who harbor these genetic alterations or gene fusions can be treated by these therapies. So I'm excited about the future of precision-based oncology in glioblastoma as a way of helping our patients.
My name is Alfred Young. I am a professor of neuro-oncology at the MD Anderson Cancer Center, and I am the Distinguished Scientific Advisor to NBTS, National Brain Tumor Society. It is truly a privilege to join all of you to celebrate this second GBM Awareness Day. I'd like to dedicate today to all patients suffering from GBM and malignant brain tumors, and all the men and women professionals working tirelessly in the clinic and the laboratory to find ways to conquer this terrible disease. I have been a neuro-oncologist for the last 40 years. We have made progress. We have changed the survival for GBM a little bit, from 12 months to 14 to 15 months. We have also changed the quality of life of our patients. It is good, but definitely not enough. In fact, it is not acceptable. We must do better. We owe it to our patient to do better. With the hard work of many scientists and clinicians and support from the government, foundations, and industries, We have made tremendous progress in understanding the biology, the genetic mishaps, and the abnormal immune environment of GBM, but we have failed to translate this knowledge to clinical gains to have more and better treatment for our patients. Why so little progress? Well, the biology is too complex. The tumor is amazingly resistant to treatment, and it becomes more and more resistant as treatment goes on. There's not enough good drugs, not enough good therapies, because not enough investment has been made by the government and the industry. There are not enough talents working in this disease, etc., etc. But I am seeing encouraging, positive change in the last couple of years. The declaration of this GBM Awareness Day is an evidence that the problem is getting more and needed attention from our government, NIH, NCI, industries, FDA, and other funding agencies. The president's declared support to cure cancer it is. His new proposal to establish the upper agency and the continued support of the NCI Bo Biden Moonshot program certainly give us hope and optimism that more resources will be made available for the fight to conquer GBM. I am absolutely positive that we are in an inflection point to make great progress in the clinic. Science will continue to provide more and better targets for drug development to control the tumor and the immune environment. Clinicians will have new and creative tools to design innovative trials, to bring new drugs, new therapies, combination therapies to the clinic and make them available, accessible to more patients. We are truly in a golden time to make these things happen. We just have to work together. All of us, scientists, clinicians, government, foundations, industries, everyone. When this happens, we will see great progress. Finally, I'd like to urge all of you to learn more by tuning in at noon to an exciting panel discussion with some of the leading experts in GBM today. Thank you.
A special thank you to Black Diamond Therapeutics, Imvax, Kintara Therapeutics, Novacure, Karyopharm Therapeutics, Prelude Therapeutics, Cortana Pharmaceuticals, Immunomic Therapeutics, Istari Oncology, Casia Therapeutics, Medicina, Moderna, Oncorus, O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, the University of Alabama at Birmingham, OU Health Stevenson Cancer Center, the Colony Group, the Society for Neuro-Oncology, Stanford Healthcare, VBI Vaccines, American Association of Neurological Surgeons, and the Integra Foundation for their support of the 2021 Glioblastoma Awareness Day.